I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Putrajaya approves 500 million ringgit to repair flood-damaged infrastructure. And UTM Palapis cadet's death reclassified as murder. Good morning. We begin with this story. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has announced an allocation of 500 million ringgit to restore damaged public infrastructure in states affected by the recent floods. The Prime Minister said all state and federal government departments have been instructed to assess the damage and carry out repairs without delay.
Ini termasuk sekolah, klinik, kemudian asas, jalan. Dan untuk itu, untuk disegerakan, maka saya luluskan 500 juta ringgit untuk tujuan memperbaiki kerosakan di dalam banjir.
Anwar said this when tabling the Supply Bill 2026 for its second reading in the Dewan Negara on Tuesday. He also said the National Disaster Management Agency, or NADMA, has stepped up preparedness and taken appropriate measures in coordination with local authorities and state governments in response to the recent floods. He added that more than 150 additional temporary relief centres, or PPS, were activated during the floods this year to accommodate over 12,000 victims. As of Tuesday night, the flood situation continues to improve, with the number of evacuees falling to 5,317 in 5 states, namely Perak, Selangor, Perlis, Pahang and Kelantan. A total of 42 PPS remain open across 14 districts. Now, the Education Ministry is conducting inventory checks and managing damaged assets in all schools affected by the recent floods. Its Director General, Muhammad Azam Ahmad, said the process must be carried out promptly to ensure that the next school session runs smoothly. According to Muhammad Azam, the effort is being led by the Ministry's Chief Secretary, Dato' Aminuddin Hasim.
Untuk kita pastikan penggantian aset-aset yang rosak ini dilakukan dengan segera, terutamanya kerusi meja yang kita kena pastikan anak-anak kita buka sekolah nanti setiap orang itu ada kerusi, ada meja dan juga buku teks.
He said this after reviewing the post-flood situation at several schools and temporary relief centres in Kangar Perlis on Tuesday. Commenting on exam schedules that often coincide with the flood season, he said the MOE is prepared to handle any eventuality. Since last September, a special plan has been in place involving technical discussions and early coordination with various related agencies. Preparations include comprehensive assessments of examination centres and early planning to accommodate students in hostels in high-risk areas. In a separate development, the Prime Minister said the government has successfully reduced the country's new borrowings to 75 billion ringgit this year, compared with 100 billion ringgit in 2021. Anwar added that this also indicates that fiscal consolidation measures are on the right track.
Jumlah hutang baru dari 100 bilion 2021 sekarang ini sekitar 75 bilion. Itu kadar pengurangan itu. Jadi sebab itu, seperti mana kita lihat kenyataan, defisit yang ditanggung setakat ini adalah hingga akhir September 2025 dan mengakibatkan jumlah hutang persekutuan 1.315.5 bilion.
Speaking during the Prime Minister's question time in the Dewan Rakyat, Anwar emphasized that the government has never failed to meet its interest and principal repayment obligations on schedule and has always ensured that the debt level remains below the statutory limit. He also noted that the inherited debt from One Malaysia Development Berhad, or 1MDB, remains the government's largest liability.
Hutang yang terbesar masih 1MDB yang diwarisi sejak 2018. Itu 34 bilion. keseluruhannya 34 bilion ringgit, termasuk komitmen faedah 17 bilion ringgit. Jadi jumlah hutang MDB mencecah hampir 50 bilion ringgit.
So far, he said the government has settled 42 billion ringgit of 1MDB debt, covering both principal and interest. Now, police have reclassified the death of Reserve Officers Training Unit Pelapis Cadet Syamsul Haris Syamsuddin as murder under the Penal Code, following instructions from the Attorney General's chambers. In a statement on Tuesday, Bukit Aman's CID Director Dato M. Kumar said the decision was made after investigators briefed the AG's chambers on the latest findings of the case. Syamsul Haris, a cadet from University Technology Malaysia, died on July 28th this year, with the initial probe commencing as a sudden death report by the Kota Tinggi District Police. On August 27th, Bukit Aman took over the case after the Shah Alam High Court approved the family's application for exhumation and a second post-mortem. Investigations are ongoing to identify those involved, after which the case file will be resubmitted to the AG's chambers in line with the federal constitution. The police also reminded the public to refrain from speculation while the probe continues. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Sultan Ibrahim, reminded graduates not to be complacent as they navigate the tide of modernization and to avoid unhealthy or harmful activities. His Majesty said graduates must see themselves as builders of a distinguished civilization and to apply their knowledge for the advancement of the Ummah and uphold their responsibilities as the nation's young leaders.
Jangan sekali-kali para graduan menghapakan harapan ibu bapa dan melakukan perkara yang boleh meruntuhkan jati diri negara.
Sultan Ibrahim said this when officiating the 15th convocation of University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia, or UPNM, in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday. The King stressed that a convocation ceremony is not merely a symbol of academic achievement, but marks the beginning of a graduate's journey to contribute to religion, the community, and the nation. This year's ceremony celebrates more than 1,000 graduates. Moving on, Malaysian banks will offer a goodwill discount to customers who settled their existing fixed-rate car loans early. The move follows the passing of the Hire Purchase Amendment Bill in the Dewan Negara on Monday. In a statement on Tuesday, the Association of Banks in Malaysia said the program will take effect once the amended act comes into force, expected in the first quarter of next year. The initiative aims to ensure existing customers whose loans are still under the interest computation method known as the Rule of 78 are treated fairly, offering benefits comparable to those available to new borrowers under the revised financing framework. Under the new law, all future hire purchase agreements must calculate interest using a fairer reducing balance method. Customers who continue making payments as scheduled until the end of their tenure will not be affected by Rule 78 calculations. The exact calculation and amount of the discount may vary by bank and will be explained to customers upon application. In welcoming the move, the Federation of Malaysian Consumers Associations, or FOMCA, when contacted, so the early settlement discount will provide real relief for borrowers, especially those with car loans under fixed-rate hire purchase agreements.
As this encourages responsible borrowing by allowing early repayments to translate into real savings rather than penalties. The change will make a meaningful difference for individuals and families in managing their debts and household finances more effectively.
The consumer group also said the discount policy is a step towards fairer treatment for customers who have been long burdened by Rule 78, noting that any form of financial easing could help households better cope with rising costs. Meanwhile, Putra Business School Associate Professor Ahmad Razman Abdul Latif said the reform marks a significant shift in consumer protection, giving borrowers greater financial clarity and a fairer path to managing their car loans.
At the same time, several market conditions are coming together to make car ownership more attractive right now. We are approaching the year-end period where car dealers typically offer significant discounts to clear older stock. So when we look at all these factors combined, the fairer interest calculation, the goodwill discount, the competitive pricing environment, and ongoing incentives, it is very likely that we will see more Malaysians deciding to buy cars.
"2026 is expected to be a more conducive year for Malaysia's economic and banking landscape. Now, according to Maybank Investment Bank, GDP is projected to grow 4.5% next year. The clearer stability ahead is expected to offer relief for both borrowers and investors. The investment bank also revised this year's GDP forecast upward to 4.7%. The bank expects no further cuts to the overnight policy rate in the near term, which will help stabilize banks' net interest margins previously affected by intense deposit competition. Corporate earnings in the country saw a strong recovery in the third quarter of 2025 and marked the end of a 2 consecutive quarter slump. According to TA Securities, companies recorded a 6.2% increase in earnings in the third quarter, following declines of 2.4% and 0.8% in the second and first quarters, respectively. The rebound was led by the construction, consumer and insurance sectors, helping offset weaker performance in oil and gas and media. The recovery was driven by stronger operations, higher order book utilization, and improving profit margins. Man remanded after fatally stabbing wife. The details after this breather.
Fan nombor 1, itu memang kamu. Jangan tunggu. Vote laju-laju. Undi calon top 10, 37. Kita bagi kecoh. Nombor 1, bintang paling popular. You are the one. Kita tentukan. ABPBH 37. Satu keunggulan. Memang tiada lawan. Joe. Undi straight sampai 9 Disember. Scan the QR. Cepat undi-undi. Benda free. Tak payah banyak bunyi. Tak cukup. Kita ganda lagi.
Abang, maafkan saya. Abang, maafkan saya. 3 kali dia mengulang, suaminya telah meninggal dunia.
Seorang wanita terlepas hukuman gantung sampai mati atas pertuduhan membunuh suaminya 5 tahun lalu.
Yang jadi marah sangat dalam kes ini, perasaan tertipu.
Memerlukan suami, suami pula tidak ada di sisi. Ini menambah lagi beban mental.
Tertuduh tidak dapat mengelak, jadi tertikam.
Membawa kembali kenangan zaman-zaman dulu lah. Every scene tu sampai kepada generasi zaman sekarang lah.
Cerita ni agak menarik untuk tontonan semua orang.
Lirik-lirik lagu di dalam cerita ini cukup bermakna. Nanti suka dengan Alia. Sebab nampak sweet sangat dia.
Scene yang buat I tak move on, I rasa scene diorang waktu main piano. Semua orang dalam panggung wayang menjerit.
Saya bagi 10.
8.
Bila pun 10 lah.
Hujan berterusan, punca kawasan cenderung berisiko, hati-hati dan peka keadaan sekeliling.
Benarkah lebih 1 daripada 3 lelaki di Malaysia mengalami masalah kesihatan tenaga batin? Ketahui faktor dan rawatan.
Generasi sandwich, apa tu? Generasi yang tersepit di tengah-tengah antara masalah kewangan, hubungan dan emosi.
Akta larangan media sosial di bawah 16 tahun bakal dikuatkuasakan. Adakah mampu membendung gejala sosial remaja?
Dan soal wang simpanan kecemasan buat isteri.
Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Hanya di TV3 dan ditonton.
Thanks for staying with us. A police probe has revealed that jealousy was the cause behind the fatal stabbing of a 40-year-old woman in Tanah Merah, Kelantan on Monday. The state's police chief, Datuk Muhammad Yusuf Mamat, said an argument broke out between the 63-year-old suspect and his wife before he allegedly stabbed her.
To facilitate the probe into the stabbing, the Tanah Merah Magistrates Court granted a 6-day remand order for the suspect beginning Tuesday. Police have classified the case as murder under the Penal Code. The victim, who was the suspect's third wife, was found in the kitchen with a single stab wound. At 10 a.m. on Monday, the suspect allegedly stabbed his wife before leaving the house to pick up their 10-year-old child from school. He then later turned himself in at the Kuala Ipoh police station. According to initial investigations, the suspect tested negative for drugs and has no history of mental illness.
In Selangor, police have uncovered a syndicate involved in storing and packaging vapes mixed with ketamine during a raid on a warehouse in Klang. 3 men were arrested with seizures valued at over 3 million ringgit.
During the raid last Thursday, more than 2,000 cartridges and 240 bottles of vape liquid believed to contain ketamine were seized. The drug-laced vapes are believed to be intended for local distribution. Investigations revealed that the syndicate was openly selling these vapes to the public and has been active for the past 6 months.
Dia beli daripada online dan menggunakan perkhidmatan kurier untuk hantar kepada mereka dan telah siap diproses.
According to authorities, the 3 suspects work as a salesman, warehouse keeper, and packager for the syndicate. They are believed to be paid up to 2,000 ringgit in addition to commissions from sales. All 3 have been remanded for 7 days to assist in investigations.
In the meantime, the Royal Malaysian Customs confiscated 434 electric bicycles valued at over 400,000 ringgit, inclusive of duties and taxes, alongside 41.6 tons of undeclared basmati rice worth more than 1.1 million ringgit, following investigations into suspected false declarations at Port Klang.
Pahang Customs Department Director Muhammad Asri Saman revealed that the electric bicycles were seized on October 9th at North Port. The estimated value of the bicycles is 272,200 ringgit, with duties and taxes amounting to 127,891 ringgit. Customs officers also discovered 2 containers falsely declared as rice flour, which in fact contained 41,600 kilograms of basmati rice smuggled from India, with an estimated value of 832,000 ringgit, with duties totaling 332,800 ringgit. The probe is being conducted under the Customs Act.
In Selangor, 4 houses, a workshop and 3 vehicles were destroyed in a fire at Jalan Meru Klang on Tuesday. According to the Selangor Fire and Rescue Department, there were no casualties. The department received a call at 1:39 p.m., after which firemen from the Kapar, Klang and Bukit Jatutong stations were dispatched to the location. The fire was successfully brought under control at 2:13 p.m. The actual cause of the fire is still under investigation. Now, an elderly couple are feared to have drowned after their car plunged into the Rompin River near Kampung Rantau Panjang in Kuala Lumpur, Pahang on Tuesday. A search and rescue operation is currently underway as the couple are believed to have been submerged along with the vehicle. 10 firefighters from the Rompin Fire and Rescue Station rushed to the scene after receiving a report at 4:55 p.m. According to witness accounts, the victim's car veered off the road and fell into the river near Jalan Kampung Ayau. The river at the site is believed to be more than 3 meters deep. In addition to surface searches, members of the fire department's water rescue unit also conducted scuba dives to locate the submerged vehicle. The identities of both victims have yet to be confirmed. Another journalist killed in Gaza. This and more when Nightline returns.
Belajar kini lebih semangat dengan TV Tuition. Lebih 5,000 video pembelajaran, lebih 100 hos hebat, terdiri daripada selebriti dan guru berpengalaman. Ulang kaji jadi lebih seronok dengan lebih 10,000 soalan latihan. serta ulasan guru yang membantu anda faham dengan cepat dan mudah. Apa tunggu lagi? Langgan sekarang dan stream di Tonton. TV Tuition, belajar di Tonton, bijak sampai lulus.
Kali ni kita fight.
Bekas suami saya tu sengaja nak frame saya sebab dia masih berdendam dengan saya. Lepas you dah guna I, you buang I macam tu je.
I don't care.
Tak nak aku jadi saksi agak-agak lah kau. Aku tak nak nanti Mil ingat aku ni nak nyaya dia pula.
Takkanlah you tak nak kenalkan I dekat diorang as your future wife?
You gila ke apa? Aku nampak dia provoke Fahana bro. Riri mana?
Muat turun dan layan Tonton sekarang. Semua favourite anda di sini.
Abang, maafkan saya. Abang, maafkan saya. 3 kali dia mengulang, suaminya telah meninggal dunia.
Seorang wanita terlepas hukuman gantung sampai mati atas pertuduhan membunuh suaminya 5 tahun lalu.
Yang jadi marah sangat dalam kes ini perasaan tertipu.
Memerlukan suami, suami pula tidak ada di sisi. Ini menambah lagi beban mental.
Tertuduh tidak dapat mengelak, jadi tertikam.
Dah ready ke nak battle? Tiket balik laris ABPBH 37. Scan dan tekan bel biru Tonton sekarang sebelum sold out. Kalau seat dah habis, kita tak restock tau. I want it. I punya. I want it. I punya. You like my hair?
We're back with the foreign front. Now, South Korea's president on Tuesday ordered swift action to penalize those responsible for a major data leak at e-commerce giant Coupang. President Lee Jae-myung instructed the government to toughen fines and enforce punitive damages, calling it astonishing that Coupang failed to detect the breach for 5 months. He said those responsible must be quickly identified and held accountable. The breach, resulting in the leak of personal data of some 33 million Coupang customers, is the country's worst in more than a decade. Coupang is now grappling with a police investigation, potential hefty fines, as well as a possible class action suit. Hong Kong's leader on Tuesday ordered for an independent committee to be set up to investigate the cause of the city's deadliest fire in decades, which killed at least 151 people. Chief Executive John Lee said the judge-led committee will conduct a comprehensive review to reform the building work system to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future.
So far, at least 13 people have been arrested for suspected manslaughter, including the directors of a construction company. Last Wednesday, 7 of 8 tower blocks at the Wang Fuk Court housing complex, which had been undergoing extensive renovations, went up in flames. Investigators have since found that a protective netting used around the buildings failed to meet flame retardant standards. The death toll may increase as authorities continue recovering bodies.
In other news, governments and aid groups in Indonesia and Sri Lanka worked on Tuesday to rush aid to hundreds of thousands stranded by deadly flooding that has killed 1,300 people in 4 countries.
Floodwaters have largely receded, but hundreds of thousands remain in shelters struggling for clean water and food. In Indonesia, a 12-ton food shipment aboard an Indonesian Navy vessel was due in Aceh on Tuesday. By Tuesday afternoon, Sumatra's flood death toll had risen to 712, with 500 still missing. Meanwhile, Thailand's government said 85% of water services in Songkhla have been restored and should be fully operational by Wednesday. Recovery efforts focus on the hardest-hit city, Hat Yai, with Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul giving residents 7 days to return home. Over in Sri Lanka, the death toll from floods and landslides has risen to at least 410, with 336 still missing, as the country's Air Force evacuates stranded residents and delivers food and other supplies.
A Palestinian journalist was killed in an Israeli strike in the southern Gaza Strip on Tuesday. According to medical sources, photojournalist Mahmoud Wadi lost his life in an Israeli drone strike in central Khan Yunis, an area that does not fall under the Israeli-controlled yellow zone. According to late October figures from Gaza's government media office, Israel has killed 256 journalists in Gaza since October 2023. The Zionist army also reportedly shelled areas of east of Khan Yunis and opened fire near the Burej refugee camp in central Gaza earlier. Meanwhile, in the occupied West Bank, 2 Palestinians were killed after the Zionist army claimed they carried out car ramming and stabbing attacks. Meanwhile, the Zionist army staged a new cross-border raid into southern Syria and blew up an abandoned military outpost on Tuesday, despite calls by U.S. President Donald Trump for restraint. Its state-run TV channel reported that 2 Israeli tanks and 10 military vehicles raided the village of Samdaniya al-Sharqiya in the southern Quneitra countryside. So far, there was no immediate comment from the Zionist army or Syrian authorities on the report. The new incursion comes almost a day after the army conducted raids on 2 Syrian villages in Quneitra on Monday. On to sports now. Squash. National ace S. Sivasangari is set for a tough battle as she vies for a semi-final spot at the 2025 Hong Kong Open, where she'll take on world number 2, Egypt's Hania El Hamami.
In the second round at the Hong Kong Squash Centre on Tuesday, world number 6 Sivasangari booked her quarter-final place after defeating France's Melissa Alves 11-8, 5-11, 11-5, 11-7. Hania, on the other hand, cleared the second round hurdle against Welsh player Tesney Murphy 11-6, 11-2, 7-11, 11-8. On paper, 7th seed Sivasangari faces a daunting challenge as she has only 2 wins in 8 previous meetings against the top-seeded Egyptian. But with her current form, she will be hoping to turn the tide on the big stage.
Turning to hockey now, Malaysia paid the price for poor defending as they were outplayed 1-4 by Japan in a Group A match at the Women's Junior World Cup in Santiago, Chile on Monday.
Japan, ranked 12th in the Junior World Rankings, raced to a 3-0 lead through Rei Yoshida in the 5th minute, Hanami Saito 3 minutes later, and Sena Tabuchi in the 10th. World number 21 Malaysia pulled one back when Zawiyatul Akmal Hartomo converted a penalty corner set piece in the 21st minute. However, with just 4 minutes remaining, Japan sealed the win with a 4th goal from Ayano Usui to make it 4-1. Head coach Lailin Abu Hassan said his players started poorly, conceding 3 goals in the opening 10 minutes. The young Tigress will next face hosts Chile on Thursday, who also lost their opening match with a 10-0 defeat to the Netherlands.
And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as a helicopter dramatically installs a new footbridge nearly 4,000 meters up at Mont Blanc's summit in France ahead of its reopening. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and stay safe.